Yeah.
That you guys put on, you know, on my meter. Which is
Yeah.
great.
I'm sure, like, in the past, maybe that, like, if we've been running quickly, like, people only put so much time on, but
Yeah.
I try and make sure that people get a big enough buffer that they're not going to get a ticket within a few minutes of me putting the card on.
Yeah.
Because we know it looks kind of bad on us if we put a card on there and then they end up getting a ticket.
You know, the indication was, or maybe I should say the implication, it's like, oh yeah, they're doing this, but it's not that great because it's only a nickel or a dime. And I thought to myself, well, pretty sure I've seen more than half an hour on my meter that I didn't put in there.
Yeah, there's a strategy we also have, like in this lot specifically, usually around 3 o'clock I'll go through and give everybody 2 hours. And I'm not going to put a card on if I fill it up from an hour to 2, but if it's empty I will. So that's my personal strategy with it.
So if it's getting down low, then you might put an hour or 2?
Yeah.
But if it's completely expired, you might put less? Is that what I'm hearing?
If it's completely expired, I'm more likely to put more because I'm going to put a card on there. So that means I definitely don't want that person to get caught.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Cool, man.
Yeah. So right now they've been evading us pretty good today. I saw the enforcer earlier and he drove off, and then when I found where he drove off to, he got back in his car and drove off again.
I see.
But I heard one of them's actually going to be resigning, or not resigning, but you know, just leaving
One of the
the
officers,
job.
parking enforcement officers.
Yeah, and it's pretty weird because it was a guy who was, like, I wouldn't say friendly with us at any point, but he was, you know, usually pretty chill when we were around, even though he seemed like, you know, a little uncomfortable with it. But more recently, he's been getting like very, I'd say almost like, I wouldn't say aggressive, but like, you know, very assertive with one of the other guys.
A little more confrontational.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was unfortunate that it went kind of like negative for him, like he started, you know, getting negative vibes or whatever. But
What was? Did you see the story?
yes.
What was your take on the city's take?
The city sounded like they were grasping at straws, because they were saying, John McLean said, like, well, they're harassing them, they're standing on top of them, whatever that means.
Circling, walking step for step.
Right, filming, like, they point out these individual things that, other than, like, standing on top of, I don't know what that means, and harassing, those are, like, they weren't saying anything negative about what we were doing. They were just like, they're doing all of these things, like, and then when he asked, like, what the safety issue was, his response seemed to be like, oh, well, people might walk into traffic. And I thought that was totally ludicrous, and I think most people saw it that way too.
Yeah, there were a number of. I think the story's got like 65 comments, which is pretty damn good. Like 300 something Facebook likes, so it's definitely generated a lot of feedback, a lot of interest, as we knew it would. But yeah, you know, it seemed to be that they were latching on to this issue of, you know, safety. It's a safety hazard. So you might be onto something with the grasping at straws, because I just, you know, some people say, well, maybe we can train these parking enforcement officers how to walk, you know, that kind of thing. But another
thing I thought about was with the, what was I gonna say? But yeah, I forget where I was going with that. But anyway.
Yeah, just, you know, the harassment is a pretty specific thing, so I'll be curious to see what they come up with when they're done going through this footage archive that they, you know, that their buddy Sturdy got for him.
Yeah.
Did you come across him at all during his?
Oh yeah, I got plenty of footage of me interacting with him. I never of all the stuff I filmed, I probably film more than any of the people Robin Hooding, and I post all of it raw, but I only seldom isolate things and like post a blog about them or something.
Yeah.
And I got a ton of footage with Sturdy. He seemed like a nice guy. I thought it was kind of strange that when he came out, they then had all the enforcers tell us, like, you need to stay 15 feet away from us and not talk to us. And I don't know if James told you, but after they gave us that, like, order or whatever, he wrote a letter to Ken Miola saying why he thought that was an invalid request, like one that he wasn't going to abide by. And after they told us the thing about stay at least 15 feet away and don't talk to us, like, within, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or an hour, I was, like, talking to them again. Like, they were engaging me and I was engaging them back, and there wasn't any issue with it. And the 15 feet rule didn't really seem to go anywhere.
Is that something they can actually cite as an
an ordinance that the city has on the books, or were they just pulling that out of thin air?
Probably
The 15 feet thing.
I would think.
Because I never heard that.
Yeah, I don't know where they got it from, but I would think that it has something to do with when they said like standing on top of someone.
Yeah.
I imagine they're watching the video, and people that don't understand like video and perspective, you can be standing like 10 feet away from someone, hold your video camera, and it looks like they're standing right next to you.
Yeah.
And like, because there's a recent video put up with Fred Parcells where I'm talking to him, he's standing right next to me, and it looks like I'm holding the camera like right here on him, but I'm not. I'm just
Right.
holding it here, and he's there.
Sure.
And so I think that's probably where they get the idea that we're so close to them, but.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever made physical contact with any of the parking enforcers at any point during the months we've been doing this.
So that seems to be their main concern, is the proximity and how that might make the parking enforcement officers feel uncomfortable, even if it is 10 or 15 feet, if they're being followed throughout the day, that's what's making these people uncomfortable. And I don't know that there's any legal, thing that they can do to address that, but that's certainly the issue that they're harping on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't seem to care that you guys are plugging meters. You know, as Bill Prokop said in the article, great, good for them. You know, it's the proximity, it's the closeness, it's the as they see it. You know, I'm not saying you guys are hovering. You know, but that's what makes some of these folks uncomfortable. So, I mean, is that something that you guys talk about? I mean, is there a way to?
Yeah, well, I've noticed, like, if you're just walking with someone throughout the day and you're behind them at any point, they change direction suddenly, it's very easy to bump into them. So that's why we always try and stay ahead of them, both for the tactical reason of being able to fill the meter ahead of them, and so you don't maybe bump into them or something.
Yeah. Fair enough. Cool, man.
Yeah, but one of the enforcers, there's the one who's going to be quitting soon, I guess. There's an old video I had where I was just walking with him down the street for like a whole block.
Yeah.
And then when we get to the corner, he turns around and he's like, he like walks up to my camera and he's like, "Is that close enough for you, you coward?" And then he keeps walking. I start asking like, "Why are you like, why are you so in a bad mood today?" I'm like, "Sorry, you're in a bad mood or whatever." And he said like, "You guys are just out here trying to get a reaction from us and things like that." And I said, "Well, is it because I'm filming or is it because I'm filling meters?" And he like didn't say specifically, so I got the impression it's just like the consistency that's really an issue. Like they can't get away from us, I guess, is the issue.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I try never to make it like a negative thing with them. Like of all the video I put out, I try and always be totally positive with them. And there is one guy who visited named Chris Cantwell, and he's from New York. He's actually come out with us maybe 2 or 3 times. And the few times he has, he makes like very brazen videos of him like just ragging on the parking enforcers, like, "Why do you have this job? It's such a bad job." I could see if that was going on every day why people would feel like that's harassment, but at the same time, like, that's the guy came, made a few videos. I think he has total free speech rights to do that.
Right.
And that's usually the one I notice when people post online, like, "These guys are relentless with them, look what they do," and then they'll post a link to that video.
Right, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is it's not as cohesive of a organization as I think they view it. You know, it's like just a group of like-minded people. Yeah.
Pretty much.
You know,
I mean,
who share a common interest or cause or.
All the people who have done it up to this point have been associated with Free Keene or like activism that's gone on here before.
Yeah.
Robin Hooding really got going the way it is now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there will be more to write at some point, and especially once the city officials have this meeting that they spoke of and figure out what to do. So
yeah, I can't wait to see Sturdy's footage either, because I felt kind of pressured whenever he was around, like I had to put on a show for him or something. Like I got this extra camera following me around.
And I would think that they would have to make that public at some point, you know, because they spent taxpayer money to do that, obviously, and so I would think they would have to make that footage.
Yeah, we've already got a 91A request in for it. We haven't heard back what we'll be getting.
Yeah, I talked to Bill Dow last week, and he said he was in the process of putting all that together, so I imagine it won't be long. But certainly be curious to see what comes out of it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we'll still be out here.
I'm sure.
I don't see that. There was like the talk of like possibility of them doing some sort of like charges against us. I really have no idea what it would be.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think they do either, so I think we're safe for now.
Right, that may very well be. Yeah. Fair enough, man. All right, I'll let you go.
Good talking to you.
See you, man.